What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Moving to Florida show. This is Judson, and I am joined today by Mohit and Yahya. What's up, gentlemen?
What up? Welcome back.
Man?
Look, see no titles here. There's no host. There's no co-host. We're just all here, right?
There's three dudes hanging out, man, talking about
That's
some fun
right.
stuff.
That's right. Well, we're going to talk about moving to Florida today. And, we thought it would be interesting. We're looking back over census data, and, we see we had a lot of folks move to Florida in 2022. So that's the main thing that we're going to be talking about. But man, I guess we'll dive right into it. I checked on census.gov. We were just discussing before we hit record. So the U.S. government does a census every 10 years, right? So 2020 was the last one. But they also do, I guess, intermittent surveys throughout the years as well. So we're mainly looking at, population. Where are people moving to and where are people moving from? That's what I was kind of curious about. And I thought this was interesting. I knew I had seen this. I know, we've been hearing for years that there's like 1,000 people a day moving to Florida. That's been kind of the common statistic that we've all heard, right?
Right. We've all heard that.
Turns out there is some truth to that. Here, I got to find my notes again. Okay, first, so let me go over this one first. So this is the data that I found. The South in general, right, which is the most populous region with a population of roughly 128 million. It was the fastest growing in the region, and it's the largest gaining region in 2022. So not only are people moving to Florida, but people are moving to the South in general. But Florida was the biggest net gainer there. So in 2022, almost 1.4 million people moved to the South. Is that a crazy number?
That's
crazy.
insane.
That's a big number, right? And as you guys could probably guess, Texas and Florida were the bulk of those.
Yep.
So Texas actually had 470,708 people. And actually the numbers that they used here, this is from July of 2021 until July of 2022. And what they're actually looking at here, this is net population gain. So it includes, it's people that moved in minus the people that did move out. It's births minus deaths. It's the overall numbers, right, for population growth. So Texas, 470,000. Florida was not far behind. Where is this number here? 416,750 net new residents in Florida. But Texas is actually a lot bigger than Florida. I didn't know this. Texas, it was just in this time period, they broke 30 million population.
Awesome.
Wow, that's one cool thing, Judson, about Texas is recently with the oil market getting a little more popular again, they're about to see 1.3% more employment growth in Texas. Plus, I don't know if anybody knows this, but right now, Dallas-Fort Worth and Austin are the two top commercial real estate markets in the entire U.S. Did you know that? I was shocked.
I didn't
even
know
know that, man. And so the corporate headquarter relocations are going to be a little bit lower, but warehousing is like the major player for Texas. And This was interesting. So they had a 1 million square foot warehouse near Dallas. This was built like on a speculative thing. And guess who took over it? Nike. The entire thing, man.
In Dallas.
1 million square foot, bro. I'm like, dang, that's insane. And Austin now is also the new technology hub. So they're seeing lot of, rising, skyrocketing costs in housing. So that's why you see that there's a lot of people moving into Texas for that. And it's a huge space.
Yeah, Austin is like little California, right?
Yeah.
Little
Better
Palo
right
Alto.
now. A little better right now.
But, it just came out. Like Elon said he's moving back to California, moving Tesla back to California. He's leaving Austin again.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, he just came out and said, he's like, yeah, we're moving back to California. I'm like, why would you... Okay, it makes no sense, but okay.
Who knows? Yeah, so Tesla did
mine
list
every
their-
day.
Everybody else is moving out of there. He wants to go back there.
He's going back to California. He's like,
Well,
all
maybe-
those warehouses opened up. Let me go grab them.
Right. Tesla did change their headquarters. Their official headquarters was changed to Austin and to Texas. I don't know. They're growing everywhere, man. I mean, that's a whole different thing.
But, Judson, to your point, though, you brought up a very important figure there about Texas and Florida. And I think NAR released their figures that last year, about 343,000 people left California.
Yeah.
Like they left
Yeah.
California,
Yeah.
and
They
New York
said,
is the next
"Bye."
place. Like 300,000 people left New York. I mean, that's like those are the two places you hear people wanting to move, right? Trying to go to San Francisco, trying to go
Right.
to New York, and they're like moving out of there, coming to Texas and Florida. So makes me feel good.
Well, why do you think that is? I mean, I know some of the reasons why people are moving down to the southeast side of the country, but why do you guys think that people are moving to the southeast?
So, the housing
Affordability.
market,
Yeah,
that's the
affordability is a
one.
big one.
Absolutely.
I think affordability is up there in the top 2 or 3 reasons why. I think affordability. I think people just wanted more space because I know most of these metro cities they're full of it's like concrete jungles out there. So I'm guessing they
Mohit,
wanted more green.
Think about this, man. So in San Francisco, I was looking up a typical home.
Yeah.
Typical home price in San Francisco starts at 1.5 million.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
I mean, even at a 5% rate, your mortgage payment's going to be like insane.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and if you look at the cost of a 1-bedroom apartment on average in San Francisco last year in June was $3,500.
Wow.
1 bedroom. And
Yeah.
the same thing in New
Well,
York is
yeah.
$5,800, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and here's the other thing: in both of those areas, you've got state income tax that's over 10%.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at both Florida and Texas, no state income tax.
No state income taxes. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I think those two things, right? More affordable, and you get to keep more of your paycheck. That's a big reason people are moving south.
You get more for your buck over here.
Plus, I mean, guys, we got to give it up for the governor in Florida, though. He was pretty awesome, and he reduced toll prices by 50%. You see that? I was like, man, that's pretty crazy. Plus, if
Suspend
anybody's
them
looking
all.
to buy diapers, guys, they're a lot cheaper right now in Florida too. There's no taxes on that. There's a couple of cool things that happen down in Florida. It helps. Every little bit helps.
It does. Every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. Yep. And then where do you think most people ended up in Florida? I know we had a huge influx of people coming in the last couple of years, but where do you think they ended up? I know me and Yahya talked about it, but where do you think they ended up, Judson?
You know what? A lot of them ended up in Miami, or that whole region, right? The Miami metro region. A lot of them ended up there, but hey, a lot of them ended up here in Orlando too.
Yep. Orlando was up there.
And then I think, spread throughout the state too. As I was playing around with the census site, I found a county by county breakdown, and you could actually see the net moves. Again, it counts net, right? So people that moved one way versus the other kind of offset. But It was interesting, but it only did it by county. But I could see in that, I was looking at like, okay, I live in Lake County. Where are people moving to Lake County from? And it was showing like San Bernardino County over in California that there were like 1,200 people. And I don't know how they get that granular with it, right? But there were 1,200 people over that 1 year time period that moved just to Lake County from that one county in California, which I thought was really interesting.
That is interesting. What else came up in our findings was Ocala.
Dude,
Ocala being number one throughout the state of Florida where people are moving to. I'm like, what is that? Why are people moving to Ocala? So I was like, let me dive in a little deeper. Why everyone's moving to Marion County?
Even more affordable. I mean, if you look at Ocala versus, say, the Orlando metro, you're going to get a lot more house in Ocala. And hey, if you can work remote, then, that's all the better. It works out. You also get a lot of Ocala anyway, a lot more space. You might get a half-acre home site instead of these little builder lots that we get here.
Justin brought up a really good point. That's what I've been hearing from a lot of people. So, when we get mortgage applications, people talk about what they want to do with that property. And right now, the popularity is people want a big piece of land and they want to do USDA loans and they want to be able to farm a little bit, build homesteads. And it's a big thing right now. Like, it's very interesting. And Ocala is a beautiful place for that. It's horse country, right? It's horse capital of the world.
The horse capital.
and it's fascinating, but pricing even there now because of all these moves is actually moving up quite a bit compared to last year. Like it's very popular up there now.
Yep. It's also very business friendly too. So Ocala is like a great place to own a business. Actually, there was a study by Advisor Smith recently ranked Ocala first in the U.S. for the greatest number of small businesses in mid-sized cities, beating out places like Boulder, Colorado, Waco, Texas. Ocala provides a skilled workforce, notable manufacturing facilities, and first-rate transportation infrastructure.
Wow.
I didn't know anything about that. And I mean, I've been to Ocala a couple of times, but that's just by driving through it.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounded like that was written by the Ocala press secretary.
I know, right?
Yeah, very much. It was
possibly
very
be.
one-sided, very biased review there. Mohit.
They do have that new World Equestrian Center up there as well. I mean, that's a huge development. That's like I hate to drop the B word. I think that was like $1 billion economic, development that's going on there. It's open now. We talked to Abigail Densick. We had her on the podcast talking about Ocala and about that equestrian center before.
Yeah, it was also, like you said, the capital, horse capital. And outdoor recreation mecca, like you mentioned. The outdoor recreation is big out in Ocala, and it's centrally located. It's only an hour and a half away from Daytona. It's like an hour away from St. Augustine.
Hour and a half from here.
Yeah,
from the parks.
Hour and a half from here. 2 hours from Jacksonville. So I think it's more centrally located than Orlando is.
Yeah. Plus, guys, this is a very interesting subject. I'm really glad you guys brought this up because if you think about this, so everybody's talking about how the market's moving in different directions, right? We have certain markets that are slow, certain are picking up, certain are fast. But because of this inflow and outflow, it's very interesting how it's affecting values of properties. Like South Florida is still extremely popular, like we were just talking about, right? Miami, Cape Coral. So buyers are having a really hard time now because the rates are still, like today I was looking at the bond market. We had a better movement, but yesterday the bond market took a huge dump and it's terrible. Like you're looking at rates of like high 7%. So if you're not a cash buyer, you're not strong, unfortunately you can't buy, and everybody's trying to move there. But if you come up to the Orlando area, we're still seeing prices get a little cooled off, a little more decline. And then you go now to like states like Indiana, Illinois, pricing is actually heavily dropping. So it's very interesting how each state has its own microeconomy within the housing market itself.
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
True, very true.
Wow, I think I brought up a very serious subject here.
Yeah, very serious.
I killed the room, man. I'm like, damn.
Well, you're right. I mean, in the top 5, Los Angeles is number 1 and Miami is number 2. So you're absolutely right about that. Where it's the most expensive places to live in the U.S. Yeah, man. All right. So what else do we got on our docket besides where things are most expensive? Where things are cheap is okay.
Well, I was trying to look up Marion County and get an idea of the population moving there, but I'm having trouble getting the little tool to work for Marion County. So, here's the news. We got way sidetracked and jumped ahead on what I was working on earlier. But Florida was the fastest growing state in 2022. So our annual population increase was 1.9%, which was the largest growth percentage wise of any state. And Florida, by the way, is like the 3rd or 4th most populous state in the nation. Yep. And we grew at the largest percentage wise. So the second percentage wise was actually Idaho, but they only have like 1.8 million residents. And that was mainly people moving out of California to Idaho, right? Where Florida, 1.9%. It was the net new residents was 444,000 new residents in Florida over that July 2021 to July 2022 timeframe.
Amazing.
Now, I know, Mo, I mentioned to you earlier, and I don't know if you had a chance to look this up, but where are people moving from? And I don't have that data in front of me, but I did have this one in addition to the Florida data about growth. New York had the largest annual numeric and percent population decline. They lost 180,000 residents, or nearly 1% of their population in that time frame.
I believe it. I mean, $5,000 for a 1-bedroom in Manhattan.
Exactly, man. That's it.
Come on,
Plus the taxes Judson was talking about. Sorry, man, I had to say your name 3 times.
That's okay. And actually, let me correct my numbers here. The annual numeric population decline was 180,000. That was not factoring people moving. That was with factoring people moving in, so that offset. It says net domestic migration out of New York was 299,000. So almost 300,000 people left New York. So I guess that means 120,000 people moved into New York or were born. But yeah, that's a huge number. And I think California had a huge number too. Let's see. 18 states experienced a population decline in 2022 compared to 15 states and the District of Columbia, D.C. In the prior year. California's population, which is huge, granted 39 million people live in California, but they had 343,000 people moved out of California in that time frame.
It's insane.
And Illinois too. Illinois, a much smaller population. Let's see, where's that number? Population of Illinois is about 12.5 million people, but 150,000 moved out of Illinois in that time frame too.
Yeah. All right, makes sense. Do you think, though, once these people move here and get settled in, do you think they will? How many do you think will have buyer's remorse?
It's starting to happen with some people, and I mean we have seen people moving back out of the state. There are people that moved to Florida that are now moving back to where they came from, but I wouldn't necessarily say that all of those are buyer's remorse, because some of them,
I'm sure
they're COVID was in full swing and their employer said, yeah, you can work from home, you can go live wherever. Okay, yeah, great. And I personally know people that got called back that said,
hey,
yeah,
we're going
I
hybrid.
know we said that. That's right. If you want to keep working here, you have to move back. That happened. Absolutely. That happened. And I feel for those folks. But, that was part of it. But, yeah, we have seen, people. I'm sure that there are people here that moved here and got that buyer's remorse. But at the same time, I think some people, they move to Marion County and go, you know what, horse country's not for me. I'm going to move to Miami. I think that happens too, right?
Right. And I think people had that mindset of, okay, I'm going to be on vacation all the time, but now they work remotely and they don't even leave their offices. Ask my wife.
No, that is 100%. So there was a couple of people I was working with, and they had to sell their homes before they buy the other one. And a lot of these people had bought their home, just like Judson was saying, like less than a year. They bought a house close to Disney because they're like, oh, we're going to take our kids to Disney. We're going to go here. And after living there with the traffic down there near Celebration, they're like, man, this is like, we can't live here. Now, living there 7-8 months, they have to move out. Just like you said, Miami, they're moving closer to Davenport. Not Davenport, but closer to Miami or somewhere else because of that reason. So it's 100%. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a cool thing you pointed out, because I have examples of those in my transactions.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I got one more interesting piece of data. This one just caught my eye as I was looking at the census data, and that is how populous certain areas were, because I think of Florida as a big state, right? We got a lot of land area here. Yep. We got a lot of land area that's not inhabited, right? I mean, we've got the Everglades, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But so I'll give you a little bit of data here. Population per square mile, and this is for 2022. California, 250 people per square mile. Okay. Texas, 114 people per square mile. Right, so less than half of California. California is a huge state too, right, geographically. Texas is too. Okay, Florida, 414 people per square mile.
Wow.
We are more densely populated than California and Texas. And New York, by the way, 417, pretty much on par with Florida, with about the same population.
Yeah, they don't have the same.
Dude, that's a really cool piece of number. Thank you. That's
right. I think that's some interesting data. But
very interesting.
Here's a little bit of clarity too. Okay, let's look at the most populated counties in the country. Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles County, 2,400 people per square mile. Cook County, Illinois. Is that where Chicago is?
Yeah, Cook County is mostly Chicago and some suburbs.
5,400 people per square mile.
Oh my God, man! People are
Harris County.
Talk about density.
Harris County, Texas. I'm not sure where Harris County, Texas is. Maybe that's in the Dallas metro or Austin. I'm not sure. 2,700. Dallas County, Texas, 2,900. Kings County, New York, 38,000 people per square mile. Is that crazy?
1,000 people.
And so
Harris
for
County is
context,
Houston. Harris County is
for
Houston.
context,
Yeah.
okay. For context, the most populated county in Florida is Miami-Dade County at 1,400 people per square mile. So way less than the populated areas of these bigger metro states. Even though their overall, for the state is lower, for the most part, Florida is not near as densely packed as a lot of these other areas. That's the takeaway I got from that.
Yeah, we still have a lot of, like you said, a lot of land still out there. I know a lot of it is preserved land. Like we want to preserve it and not build on anything in there. But the way things are moving in Orlando, we might have to. I mean, there's apartments coming up left and right where all these farmlands used to be.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I think the main question for us and for our listeners here is, where do we go from here? Are we going to see this trend continuing in 2023? Are we going to continue to see population growth? So, gentlemen, I welcome your opinion.
Go ahead, man.
Awesome. So I think you're absolutely right, man. Judson, I think it's going that way because a lot of investors. So I'll give you an example. I spoke to an agent in Canada in the GTA area. They call it the Greater Toronto Area. And they are working to move their investors into Florida because they find it's a great opportunity comparatively to what's in Canada right now because properties are like inflated for no reason. There's like 1.5 million for like a very simple
their
home,
real estate is crazy.
right? And now it's dropping. But the thing is, it's very unstable there. So that's international. Like, I mean, not that far away, but that's one thing. Plus, a lot of people that we work with, like, we're an example of these. People from New York, California, people from Illinois. And all these people are now moving for investment properties. Plus, I think last episode we talked about 37% of people that own homes own their homes free and clear. So they have cash. And about 26 to 27% of buyers in the market are still cash buyers. And Florida properties are not as expensive as the ones in California, San Francisco. So if I'm moving and I'm selling a $1.5 million home in San Francisco, I come to Florida, man, I can buy 3 of these homes. Yeah. I can rent 2, I can hold 1. So plus you mentioned about the taxes. I think Florida is a very friendly state when you move in. Plus we have a lot of benefits. So I think, yes, Florida is probably in Texas. I think these two are still going to be extremely popular. Arizona seems like it's also in that same chain of command, but it seems that Ocala, Miami, we had a couple of areas, I think Cape Coral, and there's one more area, I can't remember right now, but there's like 3-4 areas in Florida that are extremely popular. And I think it's good for us because based on what we're looking at, I think, when the rates come down to nearly 5%, for people that are looking to buy homes and moving to Florida and making that their home, that would be great for us. And our GDP, I mean, I don't know if you guys looked at the GDP for Florida, was like 1.4 trillion in 2022. So
that's a big number.
It's a huge number, man. So compared to other states, there's a lot of fun stuff happening in Florida. So I think we're really resilient as a state.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think we're going to see like you said, we're going to see a slight slowdown. It's not going to be as crazy as we've seen it in the past couple of years, but I still believe that, people are still going to continue moving to Florida. Florida's still going to, I think Florida's going to outpace California as far as population within the next 2 to 3 years. We've already, we're 22 million residents as of 2022?
22 million, and you think we're going to pass California, you said?
I think we're going to pass California.
How soon are we going to do that?
I think within the next 5 years we should be.
5 years, wow.
Yeah,
it will be really interesting. Maybe we'll have to do this and bring it up on the next one. A chart showing, say, that current trend of, 443 people moved into Florida versus the 300,000 that left California. Because remember, California is like 39 million. They still got 17 million more residents than we do here in Florida.
Yep.
Our population would be nearly doubled to get to that point. Of course, I guess theirs is shrinking as well over that time frame. But it'd be interesting to just chart that out. It'd be interesting to chart that out and see how long it takes. I think 5 years is a quick time frame on that. But who knows? So? Well, here's the other thing is I think that, over the last couple of years, there were a lot of people that did want to move to Florida. But first, home prices skyrocketed and, of course, rents with it. And then the interest rates shot up, which kind of leveled off the home prices. But it's still unaffordable for a lot of people. So I think, as Yahya said, as interest rates get down to maybe around 5%, I know personally I'm seeing people are getting used to these higher interest rates. I think that there's probably a lot of people sitting on the sidelines. Hopefully you guys that are listening to us today that are going to be ready to make that move once it seems a little bit more affordable.
I believe so. I believe they're going to come down. But like I said, I think by 2032, maybe we'll go past California.
So you know what? On that, I want to help our listeners a little bit because you guys are awesome agents, and I think this will help people a little bit more. So Judson, if somebody's looking to buy property in Orlando right now, do you think there's a chance they can get the seller to maybe pay their concessions, maybe buy their rate down, maybe lower the price a little bit to help them out? Do you think that's something? Are you seeing that trend more in Orlando?
Yeah, I'm going to say it depends on the property very much. It depends on the price point and it depends on the property. Because here's the other thing, and I was going to mention this. I'm seeing things heat back up again. Rates did pop up a little bit over the last week, so we'll see what that does. But in the last week, I had a client at full price not get the home. The agent said that they had 10 offers on that home.
Yeah,
nice home, around 300 to 350 price point, right? I had another one at 350. They offered 10,000 over asking. Didn't get it.
That's a very cool thing you brought up, man, because I was seeing that. So the average median home price dropped by 2.2% to like 359. And that was not because of appreciation. People misunderstand this. It's not that the appreciation rate of properties dropped. More of these lower priced homes are actually selling more now. And I think what you said about the rates being up and affordability being an issue, a lot of people are now between, let's say, 250, I think, to 350, 360 range. And those homes are more popular than the higher priced homes, like in the 450, 500 range. I think those are maybe sitting longer. And I think that's where maybe there's more chance of a deal. But I think, you're absolutely right.
I can agree with that. I can see that. Yeah, that makes sense. I think you're right. Is because that's the thing too. Is if you're going to move to, and again, most of our experience is right here in the Orlando metro. But if you're going to move to this area and you're going to rent, a decent 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 4-bedroom, 2-bath home, you're going to be paying anywhere from $2,200 to $3,000 a month. Well, what does that equate to in a mortgage at today's rates? It's somewhere around that, 300 to 350,000 price point, versus, say 2 years ago, $2,200 a month in rent, that equated to like a $400,000 home, right? So yeah, absolutely. I see what you're saying here, and then it's more of those homes are selling faster. So at that price point, harder to get the seller concessions, which is probably maybe even the buyers that need it even more.
Exactly.
But I think what those buyers need to do is look at homes that have been on the market for a while. Because if you look at homes that have been sitting for 60 to 90 days, those are the ones that, we as agents can go look in the realtor remarks, and half the time it says seller willing to pay closing costs.
Yeah.
That's the ones where you find the deal. You gotta hunt for those, but they are out there.
They are out there.
Dude, that is gold, man. So, what's interesting is whenever I have conversations with people and they're like all hyped up by listening to podcasts and all this, and a lot of times it's like, okay, what do I do next? I'm like, dude, talk to an agent, man. Talk to somebody who's doing this day in, day out, every single day. Because if Judson is doing a bunch of deals, Mohit is doing a bunch of deals, these guys are helping buyers actually take advantage of the market. And like you said, if you're looking at a home 60, 90 days, man, and you got this access, it's way easier for me to call you and say, hey, Judson, you see any good deals out there, man? Can you help me out? And that would save, believe me, tons of money. Because I was talking to Mohit, and we had this really easy example. We're like, man, let's say the seller gives you 2%, in concessions. And you get, or 2% off the property price. Not even much, just 2%, right? And it's a $400,000 home. And then now, next year, this home appreciates only 3%. It doesn't even go up 5%, right? So you got 2% off, it appreciated 3%. That's a total of 5%. On a $400,000 home, that's a $20,000 gain that you just got for just buying this home. Now, if you made a W-2 income of $100,000, that's roughly $6,600 per month. So if you pay your mortgage, pay your insurance, pay your car, pay all these things off, you're lucky if you got $500 left, man. And if you save that at the end of a year very, very consistently, that's $6,000. Where else can you go and just make 20 grand in a year and live in that place just with appreciation? So, I think it's amazing that we talk about these things, and I think it really helps our listeners to take advantage of these cool things.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Sir. Well said. Mo, I know you have to get out of here because you have showings. Do you have any final thoughts here?
No final thoughts. I think we covered a lot of reasons why people are moving to Florida, why they should continue moving to Florida. and I just wanted to make a point that you made earlier, that people are still, doing multiple offers and multiple. Mm-hmm. If you're a seller out there, sell your home at the correct value, and you won't need to do all that other stuff. You won't need to give out concessions. You won't need to do all that, buying down closing costs and buying down rates. If you put your home at the correct price, it will sell.
Mohit, that's a beautiful thing. I'm going to close out with that. Promise, I don't want to keep anybody here. But I was looking at a stat that came out that 54% of homes listed sold in less than 30 days. And if, like you said, if a home is priced right, it sells fast. And like Judson said, you get multiple offers. So exactly, I think people are pricing their homes in the rear view mirror, looking at last year's pricing. But you know what they need? They need an awesome listing agent to help them with that.
That's right. And now we want to hear from you. You can reach us on our Moving to Florida. How you like that? Moving to Florida show hotline by dropping a voicemail or texting us at 407-900-5859, or drop us a DM on Facebook or Instagram at Moving to Florida Show. And for Twitter, our handle is at Moving to FL Show. If you'd like to connect with us, if you have any questions, or if you need a realtor in Florida or a lender, you can reach us at movingtofloridashow@gmail.com. Be sure to subscribe to the show if you like our content, so that it would automatically download to your device and get you one step closer to moving to Florida.